Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into some seriously cool science today. It's Discover Magazine's 9 of the most remarkable scientific discoveries of 2024. And let me tell you, it does not disappoint.
Yeah, it's a really diverse list.
Oh, for sure. New planets, ancient art, mind-boggling medical stuff. Like, where do we even begin?
Well, we could start with something that could have a massive impact on global health. The new HIV prevention drug.
Lenacapavir, right.
That's the one. The trial results have been, well, kind of blowing people's minds.
I was reading about that. 96% effective in one trial. And then another one hit. Wait, was it 100%?
100%, yet preventing HIV transmission completely. It's pretty much unheard of.
That's incredible. So what's the secret sauce here? What makes this drug so different?
Well, a lot of the current HIV prevention methods rely on daily pills.
Right. And that could be tough for people to keep up with.
Exactly, but lenacapavir, it's just a twice-yearly injection.
Wow, that's it.
That's it. So much easier to manage.
So it's all about making prevention more user-friendly, I guess?
Totally. But there's more to it than just convenience. Lenacapavir works by targeting the HIV capsid protein. Basically, the shell that protects the virus's genetic material.
Okay. And that's new.
Completely new approach, and such a big deal that Science magazine named it their breakthrough of the year.
Wow. That's a pretty big honor. So could this capsid targeting thing work for other viruses too?
That's the hope. It could potentially open up a whole new world of vaccine development for a ton of different viruses, which would be, well, huge.
No kidding.
Okay.
Okay. Ready for something totally different. Scientists mapped an entire fruit fly brain.
I know, right? It's mind-blowing. Almost 140,000 neurons, millions of connections, all in a brain the size of a poppy seed.
Seriously? A poppy seed?
Yeah, it took a team 10 years to create this incredibly detailed map.
10 years. That's dedication.
Yeah.
How do you even start mapping something that tiny?
Well, they sliced the brain super thin, thinner than a human hair, photographed each slice under a powerful microscope, then used some pretty fancy software to digitally stitch all those images together, created a 3D model of the whole thing.
Sounds like a labor of love. But why a fly's brain? What's so special about that?
Well, the basic principles of how neurons work, how they connect, how they communicate, it's surprisingly similar across species, even between flies and us.
So, like by understanding how a fly thinks, we can get clues about how our own brains work.
Exactly. It's a window into the fundamental processes of thought, decision-making, memory, all that good stuff.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. Now, I'm ready for a little space exploration. What's this about a super Earth that could support life?
Ah, yes. TOI 715b, it's about 1.5 times wider than Earth, orbiting a star about 137 light years away.
And it's in the habitable zone, right?
Bingo.
So for those of us who don't speak astronomy, what does that mean exactly?
Think of it as the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, just right for liquid water to exist on the planet's surface.
Which is kind of important for life as we know it.
Essential, you could say.
So this TOI 715b, it could actually have oceans and lakes and rivers, like Earth.
Potentially, yeah. And get this. Astronomers think there might be a second planet orbiting the same star, even smaller, closer in size to Earth.
2 possibly habitable planets around the same star. Now, that's something I'd like to see.
We'll have to wait for better telescopes, I'm afraid. But it's definitely an exciting possibility.
Okay, back down to Earth for a minute.
Yeah.
What about this new research on human Neanderthal interbreeding? I thought we already knew that happened.
We did, but this is about figuring out when it happened, putting it on a timeline.
Okay, so how do they do that? Time travel.
Not quite. They analyzed a huge amount of genomic data from both ancient and modern humans, compared it to Neanderthal DNA sequences, looked at how the genomes changed over time.
And what do they find?
It wasn't just a one-time thing. Humans and Neanderthals coexisted in Eurasia for something like 7,000 years. Probably started interbreeding around 47,000 years ago.
Wow, 7,000 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time to be neighbors. Makes you wonder what their interactions were like.
It does, doesn't it? Lots of stories hidden in our DNA.
For sure. Okay, ready for something seriously futuristic? Gene editing with CRISPR is already pretty amazing. But now they're adding AI to the mix.
Yeah, things are getting really wild. They're using large language models, like the tech behind ChatGPT, to make CRISPR more precise and safer.
So it's like having an AI co-pilot for gene editing, making sure you don't accidentally mess something up.
Exactly. It's about analyzing huge amounts of data to find the best targets for editing and predict any potential side effects.
And I read about this open source AI gene editor.
OpenCRISPR-1.
Yeah, that one. Sounds like a pretty big deal.
Huge deal. It's all about making this powerful technology available to researchers around the world, could really accelerate the development of gene therapies.
That's fantastic. But before we go editing genes, it would be nice to have better ways to diagnose diseases in the first place, especially tricky ones like Alzheimer's.
Couldn't agree more. And there's been some really exciting progress on that front. A new blood test for Alzheimer's.
No kidding. I thought diagnosis always involved spinal taps or brain scans.
It did, but this blood test is a game changer. Simple, non-invasive, and super accurate. Analyzes the blood for certain proteins that are linked to Alzheimer's.
So by measuring these proteins, you can tell what's happening in the brain without actually having to go in there.
Pretty much. And the accuracy is amazing, between 88 and 92%, comparable to the more invasive methods.
Wow, that's huge. Early diagnosis could make a world of difference for people with Alzheimer's.
Absolutely. It's a real breakthrough.
Okay, ready for a total change of pace? We're going way, way back in time now, 20 million years to be exact.
Ah, yes, the fossilized reptile skin. That was a cool find.
20 million years old. How is that even possible?
It's incredibly rare. Soft tissues like skin usually decompose really quickly, but somehow this one was preserved.
What kind of reptile was it? Do they know?
They think it might have been Captorhinus agouti, a reptile about the size of an iguana that lived during the late Paleozoic era.
Okay, so pretty ancient.
Yeah.
And what's even crazier is that the scales on this 20 million year old skin are basically the same as scales on model reptiles.
Right. Evolution's pretty amazing. Some designs just work, I guess.
Clearly. Okay, one last stop for this part of our deep dive. We're going to the outer solar system. Astronomers have discovered 3 new moons orbiting Uranus and Neptune.
It never ends, does it? Our solar system keeps getting bigger and more complex.
So how many moons do these ice giants have now?
Uranus has 28 that we know of, and Neptune has 17. These new ones were really tough to spot, though.
I can imagine. They're probably pretty faint.
Yeah, they are. They had to use some of the most powerful telescopes in the world, plus a bunch of fancy image processing to really see them.
Like astronomical detective work.
Exactly.
So tell me about these new moons. Are they giant balls of ice or something completely different?
Well, the one orbiting Uranus is actually pretty small, only about 5 miles across. Takes 680 days to orbit the planet.
A moon smaller than a city, orbiting a giant ice planet. That's pretty wild. What about Neptune's new moons?
One's about 14 miles across and takes 9 years to orbit. The other one's even smaller, about 8 miles across, with an orbital period of 27 years.
Okay, those are some serious commutes. But it's amazing to think about these tiny icy worlds out there, just doing their thing.
For sure. Each one adds another piece to the puzzle of our solar system.
All right, one last discovery for this part of our deep dive. We're heading back to Earth, specifically to Patagonia, Argentina, where researchers have found some incredible cave art.
Oh yeah, the Patagonian cave paintings. Those are stunning.
They are. And incredibly old, too, over 8,000 years old.
Yep. Nearly 900 individual paintings, human faces, geometric shapes, animals, a whole glimpse into the lives and beliefs of the people who lived there thousands of years ago.
It's like a time capsule. And the fact that these paintings have survived for so long is just incredible.
It really is a testament to human creativity and the enduring power of art.
Well, that's it for part 1 of our deep dive into the most remarkable scientific discoveries of 2024. We've covered everything from new planets to ancient art to mind-blowing medical breakthroughs.
It's been quite a journey so far.
It has. But don't worry, there's more to come. We'll be back in part 2 to continue our exploration of the frontiers of science.
Stay tuned. It really is amazing how 1 minute we're talking about the vastness of space and the next we're zoomed right in on the human brain.
Right. It's like, what even is scale anymore? But speaking of the brain, you mentioned this groundbreaking new blood test for Alzheimer's.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Alzheimer's is such a, well, heartbreaking disease. Early diagnosis is so important, but it's always been such a difficult process. So what makes this blood test different?
Well, the traditional methods for diagnosing Alzheimer's have always been pretty invasive. Spinal taps, brain scans. Not exactly a walk in the park.
Definitely not. So this new blood test, is it less intense?
Way less intense. It's just a simple blood draw. And it's incredibly accurate. It analyzes the blood for specific proteins, amyloid beta and pTau217, that are known to build up in the brain as Alzheimer's progresses.
So it's like by looking at the blood, you can see what's happening in the brain.
Exactly. And the accuracy is really impressive. Studies have shown accuracy rates between 88 and 92%, which is right up there with those more invasive methods.
That's incredible. Early detection could make such a huge difference for people with Alzheimer's. Maybe even slow down the progression of the disease.
That's the hope. It's definitely a game changer in the field of Alzheimer's research.
Okay, let's shift gears again. From the complexities of the human brain to something, well, a little older. We're talking about that incredible fossilized reptile skin, right?
Ah, yes. 20 million years old. Hard to wrap your head around that kind of time scale.
Seriously, 20 million years.
Yeah,
And it's just skin. I mean, how is that even possible? Don't those kinds of things usually decompose pretty quickly?
they do. Soft tissues like skin are incredibly rare to find in the fossil record, so this discovery is really something special.
What kind of reptile was it? Did they figure that out?
They believe it might have belonged to Captorhinus agouti, a reptile about the size of an iguana, lived during the late Paleozoic era.
Wow, so we're talking like ancient. What's even more amazing is that the scales on this 20-million-year-old skin are basically the same as scales on reptiles today.
I know, it's mind-blowing. Talk about an effective evolutionary design.
Some things just work,
Yep.
right? Okay, time for another space update. We've got new moons to talk about.
Oh yeah, those ice giants never disappoint. Uranus and Neptune, always up to something.
So how many moons do these planets have now?
Uranus is up to 28 that we know of, and Neptune has 17. These new ones were pretty tricky to find, though.
Yeah, I bet. It's not like they're just hanging out there, easy to see.
Not at all. They're pretty small and faint, so it took some serious astronomical firepower to spot them. The Magellan Telescope in Chile, the Subaru in Hawaii, plus a whole lot of image processing.
It's amazing what we can do with technology these days. So spill the beans. What are these new moons like?
Well, the one orbiting Uranus is actually quite tiny, only about 5 miles across. Takes a leisurely 680 days to make one orbit.
A moon smaller than a city, orbiting a giant ice planet. That's pretty cool. What about Neptune's new companions?
One is about 14 miles across, and it takes 9 years to go around Neptune once. The other one's even smaller, about 8 miles across, with an orbital period of 27 years.
Wow, those are some long-distance relationships.
They are, but it just goes to show how diverse and complex our solar system really is. Full of surprises, even after all these years.
Speaking of surprises, let's talk about those stunning cave paintings found in Patagonia.
Oh yeah, the Cueva Huenol 1 site. A real treasure trove of ancient art.
Nearly 900 paintings. It's hard to even imagine. What kinds of things did they paint?
A bit of everything, really. Human faces, geometric patterns, all sorts of animals, guanacos, pumas, even extinct giant sloths. It's like a window into their world.
It must be incredible to see those images, knowing that they were created thousands of years ago by people who lived such different lives from our own.
It is. It's a powerful connection to the past. And the fact that they've survived for so long, well, it's a testament to human creativity and our desire to leave our mark on the world.
Absolutely. So what does this discovery tell us about the people who created these paintings?
Well, the art spans a period of over 3,000 years, which suggests that this cave was a significant cultural site for many generations. The oldest paintings date back about 8,200 years, making them some of the oldest cave art in the Americas. They give us a glimpse into the rituals, the beliefs, the artistic traditions of these early inhabitants.
It's just incredible to think about the history that's embedded in those paintings and the fact that we're still discovering these kinds of things today. It makes you wonder what else is out there just waiting to be found. It's really mind-blowing, isn't it? We've covered so much ground in this deep dive, from ancient cave paintings to potential breakthroughs in Alzheimer's treatment to, oh yeah, those brand new moons.
And we haven't even touched on everything from that Discover magazine list yet.
Right. 2024 was a seriously good year for science. Okay, so let's get back to those moons for a minute.
Oh.
Uranus and Neptune. I mean, it's incredible that we're still discovering new moons in our solar system.
I know, it really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? Just how much we still don't know about our own cosmic backyard. And these new moons, they're not just adding to the head count, they're giving us a better understanding of how these giant planets formed and evolved.
So last time we talked about how these new moons are pretty tiny compared to some of the others out there. Can you give us a little more detail on just how small we're talking?
Sure, the one orbiting Uranus, it's estimated to be only about 5 miles across.
5 miles. That's like smaller than some cities.
Exactly, a little speck of a moon dancing around this massive ice giant. And it takes about 680 days for it to complete one orbit.
Okay, that's a pretty long commute. What about Neptune's new moons? Are they similarly petite?
Well, one of them is a bit bigger, about 14 miles across, and it takes a leisurely 9 years to orbit Neptune.
9 years. Wow. That's a long time.
It is. And then the other one is even smaller, only about 8 miles across, with an orbital period of, get this, 27 years.
27 years. I mean, that puts our Earth years to shame.
It really does. But it's fascinating, right? Each one of these moons, even the tiny ones, is a little world of its own, with its own story to tell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, ready for our final stop on this deep dive? Let's head back to Earth, to Patagonia, Argentina, where those incredible cave paintings were discovered.
Ah, yes, the Cueva Huenel 1 site. A glimpse into the distant past. It's really quite moving.
Over 8,000 years old, right? It's hard to even fathom that kind of time scale.
I know, right? It's like stepping back into another world, a world where giant sloths roam the earth.
Because they're actually depicted in the paintings, right? Along with all sorts of other animals.
Exactly. Guanacos, pumas. It's like a snapshot of the Patagonian ecosystem from thousands of years ago. But beyond just the animal depictions, there are also human figures, geometric patterns. It's a whole visual language that we're only just beginning to decipher.
What do you think these paintings tell us about the people who created them?
Well, the fact that the art spans a period of over 3,000 years suggests that this cave was a place of deep cultural significance, a place where generations upon generations of people came to create, to connect, to maybe even tell stories.
And the oldest paintings, they date back 8,200 years, right?
That's right, making them some of the oldest cave art in the Americas.
Yeah.
It's just incredible to think about how long those paintings have been there, hidden away, waiting to be rediscovered.
It really makes you wonder what else is out there, buried beneath the surface, just waiting for us to find it. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the most remarkable scientific discoveries of 2024. It's been an incredible journey, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. From the depths of space to the mysteries of the human brain to the echoes of ancient art, it's been a year filled with wonder and discovery.
We've explored new worlds, pondered the secrets of the universe, and connected with the past in ways we never thought possible. And it's all thanks to the tireless work of scientists, researchers, and explorers who are constantly pushing the boundaries of what we know and understand.
They are the true heroes of our time, and their work inspires us to keep asking questions, to keep exploring, to keep searching for answers to the big questions that have always fascinated humanity.
We hope this deep dive has sparked your own curiosity and left you with a sense of awe and wonder about the incredible world we live in. So keep those minds open, keep exploring, and who knows what amazing discoveries await us in the years to come. Until next time, thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.